Hello, and welcome! I finally tested RPCSX, which used to be known as RPCS3 Android and gave me a lot of trouble on my Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, to the point I couldn't run a single game. But now, on a device that was basically considered unable to run this emulator or only capable of handling 2D games, did I finally get good results? That's exactly what we're going to find out in today's video. If you want to buy original games while saving a lot, check out Instant Gaming, the digital store that sells games for various platforms, such as PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Get games of all genres with discounts of up to 95%. You'll also find a variety of gift cards and credits for other services. You can pay for your order through your credit card on a website with a 4.7 rating on Trustpilot. You're buying games directly from Instant Gaming, not from other retailers. If you encounter any issues, Instant Gaming offers 24/7 support. And this month, Instant Gaming is offering a great discount on the newly released Monster Hunter Wilds, with up to 51% off, ensuring the lowest historical price for the game. Check out the price comparison with Steam's pricing. What are you waiting for to save? Links in the description. I've put together a small list of games I thought might work on my device, while others probably wouldn't. At first, I ran into issues with some titles, but most of them were due to the ISO format, which simply wasn't recognized. So if you're just starting out with this emulator, I highly recommend downloading your games in folder format. This way, compatibility is almost guaranteed. I did notice that while some ISOs worked, others would fail to launch. Now, about the bugs I encountered, the touchscreen joystick sometimes just disappears, and so far, I haven't found a way to reset the button positions. Another bug happened while testing Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. The controls didn't work at all. Neither the on-screen buttons nor my external PlayStation 4 controller responded. There's also a limitation that I found annoying, not exactly a bug, but still worth mentioning. The emulator doesn't allow games to run from external storage. So everything has to be stored on your internal memory to work properly. If we could run games directly from a USB drive or SSD via USB-C, which is the method I tried, we'd save a lot of internal storage space and time. Another issue I faced, at least on my phone, was with the OpenGL API. I couldn't get any games to start using it. The emulator wouldn't compile shaders, making it impossible to launch the game. Speaking of shaders, shader compilation is a big challenge here, especially on more modest devices. Sometimes you'll have to wait over 15 minutes for even a simple game to load. So overall, using this emulator requires a bit of patience, particularly when launching a game for the first time. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for future updates. And if you want to see more videos testing RPCSX, drop a comment below with the games you'd like me to cover. Before we jump into the tests, a quick word about the recording setup. I'm using a ROG Phone 6 with a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and 8GB of RAM. This emulator doesn't stress the GPU too much, so I was able to record without using any external cooling system. All footage was captured at the PS3's native resolution 720p, using an external capture card, so there's no performance loss from recording software. The first game I tested was Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I'd seen it running in other videos, and I knew that with the right settings you could lock it at a stable 30 FPS. The big issue though, is a bug that prevents character control, something that other users have also reported. Whether you're using touchscreen controls or a physical controller, the character just doesn't respond. It's a shame, because visually, the game looks fantastic. Rain, lightning, and overall effects are beautifully rendered. This would be a great title to have on Android, especially since the only alternatives are running it through Winlator or GameHub, which usually deliver worse results. Still in the Castlevania series, I also tested Mirror of Fate, which is a bit lighter. This is a great game with a solid campaign and multiple playable characters. It was originally released on the 3DS, but the PS3 version offers a more refined visual experience. And fortunately, unlike the previous game, controls worked perfectly here. Performance was excellent, with stable 30 FPS throughout the gameplay and no graphical issues or stutters. Another game often used to test whether a device can handle lighter PS3 titles is Dragon Ball: Raging Blast. Honestly, I wasn't expecting miracles here. I'd seen it run on other devices and knew it didn't perform well on the Adreno GPU I'm using. But I ended up getting slightly better results than what I'd seen online. While most people were getting between 15 and 20 FPS, my device managed an average of around 26 FPS, fluctuating between 22 and 28. It's still not really playable, but I believe lowering the resolution or enabling frame skip could improve performance. Either way, I was happy just to get it running. Dragon's Crown, one of my favorite PlayStation 3 games, runs fairly well but suffers from occasional stutters during gameplay that break immersion a bit. Based on other tests I've done, this issue may be related to the use of frame skip. So, if you're playing 2D titles, I recommend turning frame skip off. Other than that, the experience was very faithful. There were a few hitches while compiling new shaders or entering new areas, but I believe with a few minor tweaks, this game can become easily playable. Limbo was another title I tested back when the emulator was still called RPCS3 Android, and at the time, performance was terrible, even though it's a 2D game. Now, the performance was nearly flawless, full speed, no graphical issues whatsoever. Obviously, this is one of the lightest games on the platform, but considering I had issues even with Terraria before, I was genuinely impressed by the improvement. Saint Seiya Brave Soldiers was also a pleasant surprise. Even though games from this franchise are generally lightweight, I had seen some tests showing poor performance. However, during my current gameplay, I was able to maintain a solid 30 FPS and got excited to test other games from the series and other anime-based titles. No graphical or performance issues were found here. I also tested Tekken 5, which has its best version on the PS3. Depending on the stage you're playing on, gameplay is almost perfect. While it's not a title that demands much from the hardware, the graphics are really impressive. I'd say with some light optimization, it's very playable near 60 FPS. And if you've got a more powerful device than mine, you'll likely get even better performance, even in the more demanding stages. Tekken 6, on the other hand, I tested twice, with and without frame skip. Unlike Tekken 5, this game demands a bit more from the hardware and has more limited performance. I can say that playing without frame skip results in noticeably lower performance. When I enabled frame skip, performance improved by around 30%. There might be a way to better optimize this title and get it close to 60 FPS, but I'll admit I didn't explore many configuration options. Some games I tested just didn't work, and the reasons are still unclear. Castle Crashers crashed right at launch, even with shaders already compiled. Dante's Inferno got stuck in an infinite loading screen, probably a ROM issue, though it's strange, because that same ROM works fine on the PC version of RPCS3. Devil May Cry 4 had a similar ROM error, works on PC, but not on Android. Overall, I'm usually the first to say it's not worth testing emulators during their experimental phase, but RPCSX is a different case. I do recommend giving it a try. Just make sure to manage your expectations. A lot of games still don't work for unknown reasons, and even if you try configuring everything correctly, there's no database yet to tell you which settings are best for each game. So expect a lot of trial and error until you manage to get your favorite game running. And even if it works, performance might be below expectations, with no clear reason why. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.